Welcome to Revolutionary Motion, where we show you tennis from a different perspective. Today we're going to talk about why you should add slice to all your volleys, no matter what, unless, in this one exception, where you're very close to the net and you get a higher ball that you can put away without slice. Now, why should you? Let's get right into the point. Why should you add slice to your volleys all the time? There's a few reasons for that. Number one is slice gives the ball stability. Spin gives the ball stability in the air. Imagine it like a football. If you're throwing a football but you don't know how to throw a football, the ball will just, turn in all directions in the air and it won't fly very far, so it won't fly efficiently. It doesn't have good aerodynamics. The same thing goes for a tennis ball with no spin on it. It will be influenced by the wind way more, and it will move through the air less smoothly than if you add spin. Now, obviously, you could add top spin at the net, but that's very difficult to do because your wrist would have to be extremely quick. So we're not going to talk about that today. It's all about the slice. Now, yes, it makes the ball flight more consistent and gives it more slice, but also does it keep the depth of your shot more similar because of the slice. So it's easier to hit deeper shots. Deeper shots at the net mean that now your opponent will not be able to step in and have a comfortable position to try to pass you. So that slice will help you to keep the ball deeper in general, but also make it bounce lower, because the slice tends to do that. It doesn't bounce up very high, it keeps lower. That means now your opponent also, on top of the fact that they're not comfortable with the depth, has to almost lift every single ball. And that means that now it's more challenging to keep the ball low for you at the net or play it in your feet. So again, you will end up with higher balls on your rackets that are easier to finish off. Now you might ask, well, but what if I'm playing doubles and I don't try to hit my volley deep because my opponent is, at the net and I'm trying to hit it at them. In that moment, every single time when the ball is not very high for you, you should still add slice, because you're trying to put it in your opponent's feet and the ball won't bounce as high. So now they have to lift it more, which makes it more challenging for them to, play the ball past you or lob you comfortably, because the ball is just so low that it's difficult to get your racket under it and lift it well. So in other words, even in doubles, even when you're trying to go at your opponent who's also at the net, you should try to add some slice, unless you're again in that situation where you can put away a very easy volley that's higher and where you're very close to the net. Now, one last thing that you should think about is, if you are hitting your volleys without slice and you're just hitting a regular volley, you probably notice that since you don't have that depth control, your balls end up pretty short. Now, in general, that's not always a bad thing, because your opponent might be caught off guard and might have to sprint forward to reach that ball. The problem is that because you're not adding slice on that short ball, you now have a ball that bounces up higher. So that means it's going straight towards your opponent, and your opponent will have a much easier time reaching that ball. So if you're trying to hit shorter volleys, you should still add your slice to keep the ball low, which also helps it if you give it enough slice. Obviously, the ball has enough backspin to bounce back towards you and makes it much tougher for your opponent to reach your drop shots, your volley drop shots. So no matter what scenario you're in, other than a high, easy finisher where you're close to the net, other than that, you always want to add slice to your volleys, no matter what your target is, and no matter if you're hitting singles or doubles volleys, and no matter how well of an angle you want to use, if you want to hit drop shots, if you want to hit deep volleys. And to show you guys that, we're now going to show you a couple of volleys that are hit either way, and we'll show you the difference between the two shots for the opponent on the other side. So you will notice that it's much easier to deal with the volleys that don't have slice on them. Now here in the first example, I'm playing the volleys with slice, and you can see how I'm consistently keeping Kata far behind the baseline, or at least close to the baseline, with all my volleys, which makes it much tougher for her to have enough time to pass me. And now in the second example here, I'm playing the balls much shorter every time I can, which then, forces her to step in, which doesn't seem like it's easy for her, but she has way less distance to me, which makes it much easier to pass me in the process.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.